It's time for MacBreak Weekly. We've got a new guy on the show from the cult of Mac. Andy and Alex are here as well. We're going to talk about the amazing Apple quarterly results and what it all means. MacBreak Weekly up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 244, recorded April 26th, 2011. Salty snacks. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Meet easily with colleagues even when traveling or working remotely. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomeeting.com and enter the promo code MacBreak. And by PDF Pen and PDF Pen Pro. Go paperless and easily edit and sign PDFs with the affordable PDF Pen toolkits from Smile Software. For a free demo, go to smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. And by FreshBooks, the easy online invoicing service that gets you paid quickly and makes you look more professional. Get started with a free package at freshbooks.com. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, ladies and gentlemen. The show that covers all the stuff out of Apple. There's a lot to talk about today, so we brought in the A-team.
An unusual team that is very rarely all together for a show.
I could tell that Andy Ihnatko was trying to whistle the A-team theme, but couldn't remember it. Oh, I am so sorry.
And somewhere in the middle of it,
Actually,
now put it a fool.
Magnum PI.
That was. They're very similar.
No, now that's Knots Landing.
We need cigars.
Well, there's not a bad TV on.
Knots Landing. Please don't hum the Knots Landing theme when we come on. To my left, Mr. Alex Lindsay. He's in studio with us today from thepixelcore.com, soon to be located right next to me.
And when we say soon, we mean the next 4 days.
You're moving in before we are.
The moving trucks are coming. Our last day in San Francisco is this Saturday.
Oh, you're not going to keep a skeleton crew down there?
We've decided not to.
Because of the payroll tax thing?
That was a contributing factor. So we're, San Francisco is not a great place to have a business.
It's cheap to be in Petaluma. We're getting a very good, rent.
Yes.
And we love having you next door. So Alex the Pixel Core will occupy. Actually, you're going to also get a space elsewhere.
Yeah.
But your studio space will be right next to in our studio building.
Yeah, we love. I'm really
Twit
excited
house.
about having everything up in Petaluma. So
I like that.
I'm very excited. And if you're a tech company, we would love to have you in Petaluma.
Yeah.
We're looking at Twitter. When I saw Twitter, not sure if they were going to stay, I was like, we should send emails.
Twitter should move to Petaluma.
Yes, they should.
It would be really great. Then we could have Twit and Twitter, and it would really confuse people.
Yeah, exactly. The same address. Great.
Yes, we're the Petaluma Twit. Oh no, that doesn't solve it. So Alex Lindsay's here. So is Andy Ihnatko from the Chicago Sun-Times, and it looks like he's got a picture of Grandpa Ihnatko on the computer behind him there. That's nice.
That's not Grandpa Ihnatko. That's Neil Gaiman, New York Times multiple best-selling author. Legend
And apparently your idol.
Titan,
Apparently your idol.
Well, we're collaborating on a future project. And
Stay tuned for details. Because I got to introduce this other guy. Oh, I'm sorry, Andy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was just being quiet. Again, I'm just as excited about the other guy as you so colorfully refer to him.
Yes, it's, ladies and gentlemen, Erfon Elijah, who is from the cult of Mac.
Hello, thank you for having me on the
Great
show,
to have you,
Leo.
Erfon.
I'm honored to be the other guy.
The other guy. Well, at least you're not wearing a red shirt, are you?
No, not today.
All right, beige shirt guy. He usually gets it in the end, too, doesn't he? Welcome. It's good to have you. Cult of Mac, of course, that great blog and website all about Macintosh, and that's what the show is all about. So we've got 4 Mac experts, 2 of them in plaid shirts, unaccountably. For those of you watching on video, I don't know what happened.
We're in Petaluma.
It looks like Farmer John and his brother.
We just had the butter and eggs festival.
Butter and eggs parade was this weekend. Pastor.
Oh, that's what you're going to see more and more of. Like as you keep building up this new Twit building, everybody starts to dress out of the same laundry hamper.
Yeah, that's true.
I got a pitchfork.
That's true. We People have asked, we are going to have a fundraiser. We're going to sell bricks with your name or whatever you want emblazoned. And we'll be putting those in the entryway. As people come in the door, they'll see your name, unless it's on the ground, in which case they'll...
How much are the bricks? I want a brick.
I think we're going to do $100 for the brick.
I'm buying one.
And then, well, we have other stuff. We're going to have some other things to give away, too, including an auction to name my studio. Now, there's a whole big studio space, but my studio, which is a reinventing of this studio. We're actually taking this studio and transplanting it to the...
It's going to be the Oracle Center with Leo Laporte.
Yeah, and we can name it anything you want. So we're having an auction. I mean, if it doesn't have to be a corporate name.
I'm just imagining the PNC twit cottage.
Somebody who really doesn't like me could actually, you know...
Leo's a big fat jerk.
Leo's a big fat jerk. And I will say every day when we begin the shows. And now coming to you from the Leo is a big fat jerk studios.
How about, I'll start the bidding at $50 for the place where truth goes to die.
There you go. That's good.
Live from the place where truth goes to die. I'm Leo Laporte. I'm from MacBreak Weekly.
Yeah, that would be good. And you know, so we're going to have a little bidding for that. But the whole idea really is that we want everybody to have a chance to contribute to this. The good news is that we have found sufficient financing to complete the studio.
Which is always a good thing.
So we will actually be, I think, mid-June. I think we're about 6 weeks off. We had a big meeting yesterday, and I gave the buy signal for 20 cameras. The wiring guys are coming in. The power guys are coming in.
There was a lot of go. There was like little armed, you know, they weren't armed. They were armed with drills.
The little bots are going.
So I think it's getting pretty historic as you start to see it build. I mean, it's exciting. It's like this is really going to be a TV network
or something.
It could be like not a TV network, but like a real this is the next generation.
I think so.
Yeah,
it's a bit of an audacious plan.
Yes,
but I'm loving it, and I'm really glad. I'm very grateful, in fact, to you for being.
I'm excited to be there.
This
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Although, yeah, I thought I was going to beat you and be ready, right? You know, like a month and a half before you. But I think we're going to be ready about the same time you are.
Yeah,
we have. You know,
you were cocky, weren't you?
I was cocky.
So you can't really tell what's going on here. It looks like there's a barrel full of nails. I don't know it's kind of quiet right now. I think maybe it only gets busy when we go in the door. And then after we leave they go.
They have a Leo cam. They're like,
break time.
Yeah, the Leo cam. They don't know we have a Twit Studios cam. So Apple, the big story right after we got off the air, well, the next day Apple had its earnings call and had the most phenomenal. It seems like this is a broken record. Every quarter has been phenomenal. Sales were almost double, 82% increase over this time last year. Sales of $24.67 billion. The profit did almost double, 95% increase in profit, $6 billion in the 3 months. In the bank, profit in your pocket. Phenomenal success. iPhone sales up 113%.
With the Verizon.
Well, now this was a year ago, so this was iPhone. This was pre-iPhone 4. Yeah, it was the tail end of the iPhone 3GS, so that's maybe not surprising.
But the jump on this quarter, I think, was connected to
huge jump.
Was the Verizon? You know, suddenly everybody kind of flushing into the
iPad
system.
sales 4.69 million. That's actually low, believe it or not,
because they can't make enough.
They just can't make enough. That's what they said. Yeah. And of course, much of the quarter didn't have iPad 2. Say again.
Also, certainly anticipation of the iPad 2 coming out.
Right.
So you'd expect a softer.
Everybody knew the iPad 2 was coming out, so yes, exactly. iPad sell-through, 5.1 million units. So they actually had a sell-through that was over the shipped units. I guess they had shipped units left over from Q0 or whatever comes before Q1, Q4. Mac sales up 28%. Asia Pacific Mac sales up 76%.
And I have to say that with the addition of Thunderbolt, I have to say that this year I'm more excited about Macs than I have been probably in 5 years, because I think that it really is going to change a lot of things. You know, I think that's a big transformation. I think they're going to see huge sales all year, because a lot of people like me are going to buy new computers just to have that connectivity.
Right. iPod sales, the only I don't know if you call it bleak. It just means more people bought iPhones than iPods. 17% drop in iPod sales, 9 million units. But more than half of the iPods they're selling, more than half are iPod Touches. That's not a surprise.
Right.
I wish I could see a breakout on what models are still selling that aren't iOS devices. I think there's some really interesting bets to be made on what modifications Apple might make to the entire iPod line in the fall. I mean, the iPod Classic almost has to be gone. But is Apple going to still do 2 non-iOS iPods, or are they going to simply say, let's just get the fitness people who just want a cheap iPod that will dock and sync really well to iTunes? They don't care about a screen. They don't care about features because they probably already have either a touch or an iPhone for the really cool apps.
I think that the Classic actually still fulfills, until they have something else that has 160 gigs of storage.
Yeah.
I have my entire music collection on it. So when we go on road trips, I've got one device that has everything that I ever wanted on it.
You know what might eclipse that is this idea of cloud storing your stuff.
For road trips, it won't affect me because
you don't have internet access.
Because I have spotty internet access.
But the thing about the cloud too that I think a lot of people maybe don't think about is that technology is still a little bit of ways out. I mean, when you use 3G to access your data, I mean, first of all, it's slow.
Right.
So you're always going to be waiting. I mean, anytime I try to use Rdio and I don't have music sunk to my phone, I'm waiting forever for these songs to download. And then and my second point is that it drains your battery. Whenever you use 3G, your battery goes down so fast. It's so nice to have things stored locally, like on an iPod Classic.
And I would add a third point, which is that all of the companies now are introducing bandwidth caps. So you're going to want to be a little careful, a little judicious. It's funny. I got on the new iPad 2 I got a Verizon package, and I thought, I'll never use more than 3 gigs in a month. I actually did. In fact, I don't have 3G right now because I don't want to spend. They say, you've run out, but you could buy more. And I thought,
I think it's a really interesting dichotomy that you brought up. It's like as all these companies are moving to the cloud, you have the telecoms and the cable companies. They're trying to limit how much you can access your data.
Yes.
So one company is moving one way, and these other companies are moving the exact opposite direction.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think, Erfon, that these companies know that this is what's happening. They're looking at Netflix. They're looking at iTunes, and they're saying, "Whoa, not on our watch, baby."
Or if you do it, we're going to charge you for it.
Yeah, we're not going to just let everybody march in here and have unlimited bandwidth. So I think it's not a coincidence. It's exactly why it's happening right now.
You still would have to, for most of the caps that are related, you really would have to watch a lot of movies.
No, not movies.
I mean, movies. Okay, so
no,
I did the math.
Not for wireless caps.
Oh no, wireless.
I'm talking about wireless
absolutely
caps.
Wireless. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a difficulty with a lot of these different pricing plans too. I mean, T-Mobile on their in their Android tablets, I think, kind of has screwed things up where you can either get 250 megs per month or you can get 4 gigs per month, and spend $25 a month more than you can for the iPad 3G package. And that's nice, and it's nice to have 4G, but I wish there was something in the middle. There's just nothing practical between those two. And 4 gigs is still not quite enough that you can simply decide, you know what, I am going to watch several episodes of The Daily Show, or I am going to watch the Conan O'Brien Show every time I miss an episode, because you'll definitely, that's why you steer into the Starbucks.
And AT&T, even landlines, Comcast has a 250 gig limit.
Yeah.
That'd be hard to go through that, but AT&T's is 150 gig. I mean, they start high and then they say, well, we're protecting you from bandwidth hogs. Those guys will really eat up all your bandwidth.
I gotta say though, AT&T's. I mean, if you guys if anyone watching is using Uverse, I'm sorry. I mean, I can say this because my parents-in-law are not watching the show. They have Uverse, and it is the worst video quality I've ever seen in a cable network ever. I mean, I constantly look at it, and I just don't, because I don't want to do what I did to Scott Bourne, which is. So do the macro blocks bother you? He was it's like, so I don't want to do this thing where
say that.
I don't say anything. I just watch.
See that rainbow on your DLP projector?
Yeah.
Because then for the rest of their life,
that's all they see. So I don't say anything, but I'm just like, holy smokes, is this bad? And it's not sharp at all. And the scary thing now is that a lot of times I'm finding that my experience with Netflix is better than Comcast.
It looks pretty good, even at 720p if you have.
It's caching.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get an HD,
if you have enough bandwidth, it's pretty good. I mean, 720p, but I watch it on 60-inch screens all the time. I love it.
Yeah.
Of course, I have a 60-inch screen in every room of my house. Yeah.
Every room?
No,
in the bathroom?
Just joking.
Yes, Netflix and the Apple TV is the reason why I don't have cable in the living room of my house.
Right.
Because good enough.
Hey, I'm not done. There's still more good news from Apple in the earnings call. It's kind of hard to believe that there's more. iTunes Store sales of $1.4 billion in a quarter. They don't give a year-to-year on that. Gross margin. This is how much their profit margin is. The stock market thought it'd be analysts thought it'd be 38%, 41.4% margin.
Wow,
that's pretty darn good. I mean, I don't know what's typical in the technology industry, but
no, it's good.
I know, when if we came anywhere close to that, I'd be jumping up and down.
I think that the thing is that what Apple has done is they've really they own the crowd that's willing to pay that margin, and they're making everybody else compete for the crowd that will not pay for that margin.
That's what makes it challenging. Apples are more expensive. You still hear that when I recommend an Apple on the radio show. Oh, it's overpriced. You sometimes even hear. But then people, I think they start to realize that, well, one of the reasons that that PC you bought is so cheap is there's no service or support. They've unbundled that. So do you want service and support? Well, that's going to cost you. Sometimes they use cheaper components.
And also, I have to say that the game changer as you start to use stuff like the Mac App Store, which I'll just come back to, is that because you can install it, I have a bunch of computers that are all registered.
Yeah.
And I can install...
Is it 5?
I don't know. I have 5, and it's all installing. Right. So I don't know. I haven't done more than that. I'll test it. But the point is that...
Well, the reason I ask is when Final Cut comes out,
right,
I'm going to install it everywhere, right?
Well, and the thing is that when you start doing that math of the way that licensing works, then Macs get real cheap because now it's changing all the licensing for all the software that you buy throughout your entire house.
Good point.
That now that you can be legal and licensed across all of these things, because a lot of these companies have gotten really good at protecting their software by making sure that they don't run on the same network and they don't and they have to be registered and everything else. And Apple's getting rid of all of that, and so that starts to really add up if you start buying any level of tools. That's a big issue because I have a couple iPads and a couple iPhones, and all of that stuff is I just sync it up and it's not a big deal. $66 billion in the piggy bank.
Wow.
Yeah. 66 billion.
That's their cash.
They could like bail out the banks at this point if they wanted to.
Do a lot with that. That's a ton of money. They could buy the record industry.
That's a scary amount of cash to be sitting on, because not only is it the ability to get into whatever business they want to get into, it's also the ability to buy a company that it thinks is going to produce a technology that other companies can really, really ride into town on and simply say, we hired this company. We really just wanted its talent and its video compression codec. That wonderful product that was going to sync the iPhone in 2 years. Maybe we're not actually.
La la.
Yeah.
Lala. I'm not done. Apple stores, 71 million visitors. That's up 50%. 50% over last year. Apple says we don't need to go to trade shows. We've got the stores. There's a trade show in every town going on all the time.
Highest, I believe it's the highest income per square foot of any store chain in the world.
I was so skeptical when they announced these, and boy, have they proven me wrong. Store sales up 90%. Store sales up 90% year to year. That's $3.19 billion. Their cash, as you said, is up. It's $65.8 billion. That's up.
I do have to say about the stores,
$6.1 billion more than last year. It's not going down.
Well, and the thing is, they do everything right at the stores. I feel like you get the attention that you want, but not so much attention that you feel drowned. Everything's easy to find.
You're doing a good job.
It is, people can. There's almost never a line because everyone's walking around with an iPhone that can scan your credit card. Yeah. People are knowledgeable when you're talking to them. I mean, it's just a really easy retail experience.
They definitely created them so that each store would be an embassy, not a retail experience.
Yeah,
and I think that I'm with you, Leo. Remember that when Apple started the store, it wasn't that they started it because all these other companies had, like Gateway started their own stores and it went great, and Dell started their own stores and they went great. All these companies decided to start their own stores and they went belly up within 4 or 5 months. So it was such a radical thing for them to do. Right. But Apple's idea was number one. They made really great management decisions from the start, where the Apple stores were all company owned and always done at the corporate level. It's some of these other companies decided to simply say, well, we'll hire this guy with retailing experience. We will have him start a chain of stores that we will then lend our name to. So this is yet another example of how when Apple decides to be a control freak about something, it's not because they want to be jerks. It's because they have an idea and a plan. They know how to make something work, and they want to be able to say, a few years later that, oh, by the way, our revenue is still up 50%. We're still producing X dollars per square foot. I mean, if there's places in certain city areas where you can buy a crystalline substance that is not as profitable per square foot of space. Probably because they don't sell anything that's quite as addictive as an iPad.
Well, so instead of setting up these corner drugstores on the wire, they should have set up Apple stores.
Well, you know, when we talk about moving into, this was in the New York Times, when we talk about moving into an industry, keep in mind, Apple has $66 billion in the bank. Netflix market capitalization is $13.2 billion.
Oh, they could buy so much stuff.
With cash.
Yeah.
And that'd be like 2 quarters worth of cash for them.
But I don't think that's Apple's way. I think Apple, if they said if we want to be in that industry, they just would put Netflix out of business by doing it better.
Yeah, no, I don't. I agree, but I'm just saying that when they want to move into an industry, you know.
It's interesting that they haven't. They're sitting on that cash.
It's a great point, too, because like if you look at a company like Microsoft, who has a lot of cash, and they're using it for all these different things, you know, they're putting their hands into all these different markets, and sometimes something sticks, and oftentimes they create a product that is, unsuccessful, and they have to squash it soon. And, Apple really takes on that philosophy that if they can't do something really well, there's no point even going to try. So here they have all this cash that they're just sitting on, and they could be using it for all these different things, like a lot of the companies out there do. But they're like, no, we're going to save this until we really have a good use for it. I think it's classic Apple.
Wi-Fi grids. That's what I think they should do. It would cost them $15 to $20 billion. I think that's, if you're listening to Wi-Fi grids.
I put a link in our show notes to Jean-Louis Gasset's great blog, The Monday Note, because Jean-Louis, former Apple president, and created BOS and knows a lot about stuff, did some deeper analysis looking at the 10Q and stuff, and found some very interesting numbers that weren't highlighted by all the other press. For instance, the combined iOS platform, iPhones, iPads, and iPod Touches, has 37.9 million devices. That's 59% more than Android. So iOS is super strong right now, 37.9 million. In Europe, in the 5 European markets, it's even stronger, 116% stronger than Android, with 28.9 million users. In Asia, the iPhone is up 250% in sales year to year.
Yeah. Have you seen, especially what the iPhone's doing in China?
China's huge.
It's becoming the phone to have.
It's the phone. Even though there are lots of clones in China. And according to Jean-Louis Gasset, the Shanghai Apple store is doing more volume than the New York Fifth Avenue store. And there's a new store in the works in China, the largest in China. But here's another number that I thought, he did some really interesting analysis. Apple is the number 5 vendor of PCs in the U.S. Market share last year, 7.3%. This year, 9.3%. It's an 18% growth. Acer down 24%. Dell down 12%. HP down 3%. In fact, everybody's down except Toshiba and Apple. And Apple's up a whopping 18% year to year. This could be the beginning of an Apple takeover in terms of PC shipments. Let's see. Well,
I think that when you...
Actually, that was Gartner, and then IDC has slightly different numbers, but still roughly the same in terms of growth.
And I don't know where... I saw a number where it talked about the distinction between business purchases and institutional purchases and personal purchases. And when you take out business and institutional purchases, then Apple is in the 50-60% range. You know, they're a much higher percentage of personal people buying them for themselves.
Yes, I would agree.
Businesses are the ones that are making top-down decisions of what the bottom line.
Are buying Macs in huge numbers. You go into any startup these days, it's all Mac.
Yeah,
all Macs.
Even if they're running Windows.
Yeah, they may be running Windows if they have to, but really, there's Macs everywhere. Now, here's the one interesting number that he pulled out that I thought was kind of surprising. R&D. Microsoft's R&D is about 15% of revenue. Apple's research and development, 2% of revenue. Now, he points out that partly that's because Apple has such a high revenue. Because 2% of what is it? 2% of 20
still a chunk of change.
$4 billion.
But it's also because they're not going in so many different directions at one time.
Yeah.
Well, they have fewer things to research. They research an iPhone, they research an iPad, and they research some Mac. I mean, it's very simple. They're not making Connect.
Well, and I think that this was the big argument with Gil Amelio and when Steve Jobs came in, was that Steve Jobs was like, we're playing in their briar patch rather than forcing them to play in our briar patch. Apple's advantage is the vertical market. It's the fact that they own the software and the hardware and they own the whole kit and caboodle, and they just keep on extending that advantage. And that's the thing that is hard because no one else can do that. And I think it lowers R&D costs because they don't have to piece everything together.
Says actually, if you analyze it, it's that's a good number. Basically what he's saying in this, and I would highly recommend this blog post because it's fascinating, is, and I looking at the numbers, I've never looked, I didn't used to know what a balance sheet looked like, but now I've learned. and looking at the numbers, what strikes one is what a tight ship Apple runs. This is an amazingly, from what I look at, amazingly well-run company.
Well, you feel that when you're down there. I mean when you're at one infinite loop, I mean, it feels like a very tight ship. I mean, people are pretty focused.
That's not just Steve Jobs. I mean,
but it's a culture that he created.
It's a culture he created, but that kind of speaks to the notion of what it'll be like without Steve.
Yeah.
Steve isn't figuring out how much money is going to be spent on janitorial services, and yet it's very, very tight, very well run, which means he's got very good people, Tim Cook and on down. And that I think it's one of the reasons Wall Street is rewarding Apple, even though Steve isn't in day-to-day anymore. Rewarding Apple.
Well, it's hard. He's not there day to day, and they have quarters like that. It's going to be hard to. Yeah. It's hard to ignore.
Well, you could say there's still got a lot of momentum. There's Steve momentum. Everything they're selling right now is made by Steve, right?
Right.
I think it says that on the box. Design in California, made by Steve. Yeah. And maybe they should just name everybody at Foxconn Steve, and that would really
SteveCon.
SteveCon.
Get them all those black turtlenecks.
So good, interesting numbers all around for Apple. Very bullish. I don't follow the stock market particularly, but I'm sure that the stock market reacted well, especially when you exceed analysts' expectations, which Apple always does because they're so good at sandbagging the damn analysts.
We're having trouble. We can't make enough. Yeah. It's all not working. Oh, wait. It actually...
it did work.
It actually turned out.
Wow. Apple's very GLaDOS when it comes to the analysts.
Which is a triumph. I'm making a note here. Huge success.
Huge success.
Yes. Yeah. But I think that a lot of people are probably a little bit worried because this is, you could do a simple search and replace and turn this into a story about the housing market about 7 or 8 years ago. Right. Another great quarter. Now this properties are valued up another 40 or 50%. There's no top to this rocket ride. And I'm kind of wondering how long it is before we remember that we've seen over the past couple of years that Apple has come up with an absolutely knock the industry on its butt product pretty much once a year for the past 2 or 3 years. And once that they have pretty much all their chess pieces on the board, how many years are going to go by where they're just come out with better versions of iPads, better versions of iPhones, but they don't have the hoverboard yet? Right. And how soon before the curve starts to flatten off and they only have $90 billion in cash and they're only insanely profitable before people start saying, well, let's start selling our Apple stock because we're expecting an 80% return on our investment.
True. But that's stock price. And I have to say, when I see such...
Those people are nuts.
Yeah, those people, they're doing something that is not necessarily the equivalent of saying how well a company's going to do, which you'd think they were, but apparently it has nothing to do with that. Gasset compares, for instance, their operating expenses, sales, general, administrative, to HP's. And, they're like twice as good as HP. Their operating expenses are 7%, which he says, I don't know of a tighter and at the same time more prosperous ship. And by the way, Gasset is, despite being formerly having rainbow blood, is in fact, I think, pretty strong critic and sometimes of Apple. He's not an Apple cheerleader by any means.
Well, he left.
He said, he says Apple is the most profitable PC maker and smartphone and MP3 and tablet maker in the world. He says, HP, the largest PC maker, gets 6% operating income out of its $10 billion product revenue. Apple gets 31%.
Wow.
That's a big difference.
They're doing okay. They got something figured out over there.
If you go out to lunch with an Apple person, don't reach for the check too fast.
Now, he does... yeah, really. He does talk about some worrisome stuff. The cloud, he says, is worrisome. He says iWork is getting very long in the tooth, which is true. In fact, I'm wondering if they've abandoned iWork. He says iWeb hasn't been updated in, how long?
Well, I think iWeb isn't long for this world, but Pages and Numbers are both huge successes. If you look at the percentage of people who have switched away from Office to these two products, if a user in general, if a user has the free choice to use whatever spreadsheet, whatever word processor they have, they are choosing these two apps, these two $15 apps that are so well supported by the company, and not Microsoft Office, which Microsoft has not really found a way to really truly reinvent this suite for the 2010s. It's still the go-to solution if you're doing really complicated collaborative work. But for people who want to have $15 in their pocket and they want a good word processor that can do anything from a 2-page letter to a 100-page book, that's where they're going.
Again, $15 for a copy of Pages that works on all the machines that you're logged into.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's it doesn't. Those are very, very compelling. We've switched the whole company.
To be honest, a word processor, one of the things I kind of laugh at Microsoft, because they have to update Word every 2 years for their revenue. Word processor, there's not a lot of new stuff you can do in a word processor.
5.1.
Yeah.
That was the last
That was
version.
the last good word on Mac. We talked about this before. I wish WordPerfect 3 would come back. Now, 3.5. Now, that was a good word processor.
Exactly.
I think that Apple's probably going to do a bundle like iDVD, iWeb Suite for people who do lots of stuff in 1998.
Yes, our dead.
I'm
products.
talking 1993.
Apple's dead products. The dead zone. ClarisWorks, throw that in there too. That'd be great.
No, ClarisWorks was not good.
Yeah, the MIT Flea Market. I had an opportunity to buy a brand new shrink-wrapped in-the-box copy of Mac Paint.
Ooh, I want that.
The Claris logo, the one that actually had layers in it.
I don't even remember that. I would love, we're accumulating a lot of old computer and even older technology for the new studio. I
think I have an old classic somewhere.
Please. I would love. In fact, somebody just sent me a Clio, which I couldn't believe. I'll show you that. But anything that you have that's cluttering up your garage. No, wait a minute.
Such a dangerous thing to say.
Yeah, boy.
I can probably get you a black Bell & Howell Apple II if you'd like one.
Really?
I think I have 2 of them.
Wow.
Again, I've been going to the MIT Flea Market for about 20 years now. There is very little with an Apple logo on it that I do not know.
I might regret
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What we were going to do is put them in the window to distract looters. Oh, an Apple II. They don't know anything. They'll just grab the Apple II and they won't go straight for the...
No, I
I'm saying
think
high voltage Tesla coils.
Right.
It's got to be more like, hey, look, a computer. Oh, it's an Apple. It's a Mac SE. There's nothing good in there. I bet they've got they got a 20-inch color Sears TV set there. No need to break it there.
One other footnote: 1.8 million Apple TVs. The new Apple TVs sold. Pretty good for a hobby. Especially if you compare it to the Google TV.
So it makes you wonder if their next big product is a TV. No. Like now that this hobby is becoming a business. I mean, now that the hobby is starting to turn into something real.
They didn't. This is a point I was going to make a little bit earlier. That I think one of the reasons why they're so profitable and they are so lean is that they are not. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe that the company that would say, let's start spreading out into TVs, a business that we don't know a whole lot about, and there really is no benefit for us to branch into it, but we can say that we're selling a TV set. They're the company that would correctly say, we don't care where you buy your TV from. We want to sell you the box that has the cool electronics in it that makes everything else that we sell with an Apple logo on it that much more valuable, and which helps you, increase, turn the tap of money from your pocket into the iTunes store, just turn it all the way to full blast now.
I guess for me, though, I think that the last step, though, is the camera inside. I mean, I just want a 46-inch iMac. I mean, the thing is that it's, but with just iOS, I don't need it to have anything else. But I feel like, number one is I feel like the Apple TV 2, I'm waiting for them to open up the iOS so that we can actually use applications there. That's the ultimate little net box if they did that.
Yeah. Well, and Jean-Louis points that out. He's saying, well, we'll see what happens there.
It's a $99 net box.
Yeah.
That's
a very interesting.
With iOS.
But I agree with Andy. I think that one of the reasons Apple's done so well, they've stuck to their knitting. I looked at McDonald's, in the old days, they would make everybody else was making, Dairy Queen had 300 menu items. McDonald's said we do this, this, and this. In fact, it really didn't all start to go to hell in a handbasket until the McRib.
Isn't there actually a principle of neuroscience that says that increasing the number of options leads to poorer decisions and longer decisions rather than that.
Yeah, but Apple didn't know anything about phones.
There's actually a hard top limit that if you give someone 3 options, they can make a good decision. If you give them 5 options, they'll make it'll take them 4 times as long and they'll make a bad one. I think this is one of the reasons. I think they're very aware of that. There's actually a hard number, maybe even somewhere in Apple, that says we cannot make more than X versions of this kind of product.
Too many SKUs.
I just think to me a TV is just it's like the last extension of the tiny iPhone to the iPad to a.
Yeah, but it's a trophy that you don't want to have.
Okay.
I think that if Apple were to, Sony and other companies would be old-fashioned enough to say that, well, we're not in the consumer electronics business unless we sell a TV set and a console stereo. Our mommy won't love us and think we're successes unless we're selling a console stereo with a record player.
Right.
And a room for records, not realizing that, well, actually, there's been years since anybody really used
I'm kind of with Andy on that, but on the other hand, I'm not going to predict because I've never been able to predict what Apple's going to do.
We're taking our old iMacs, the 21 or 24-inch iMacs that we've been doing production for MacBreak on, because
those are TVs. I know, I understand.
And so we're putting them on the walls and in Twit. I mean, in the new studio, we're putting them on the wall to manage schedules.
Right.
And the thing is that what I really want is, an iOS version of that, because I don't really need all the rest of that.
Okay, but I guess here's the real point. Like the last time I've bought like a new TV, I'm steadily replacing like all the big CRT TVs in my house with LCDs, maybe at a course of one a year. I think I replaced the last one this year, and the first one cost me about $600. The second one a year and a half ago cost me something like $400. Last year, a TV that's just as good as the first one I bought cost me $213, and that's what Apple's seriously going to have to compete against, because people are not going to. The people who buy TVs are not looking for, what's my XML RPC?
Yeah, but that's what they said about phones. That's what they say about computers. I mean, that's what Apple does. Is they create something that's a premium
I said the
item.
same thing. I said, don't get in the phone business.
Here's a phone. That's a TV. They're real different.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a scalable. It's a scalable comparison.
You've made your points. We have to take a break.
For God's sakes, people buy these things to watch Maury Povich, oh my God, who's my baby daddy shows. This is not the same market as the people who are buying these things.
And that will be the final word. We will move on. We have to take a break.
I'm remaining silent.
There's so much to talk about. I don't want to get too bogged down because we still got to talk about the privacy thing. And why is Apple telling employees not to take a vacation on 3 days in May? That's coming up in just a bit. But first, let's talk about my friends at Citrix, the great makers of GoToMeeting, GoToMyPC, GoToAssist. Of course, the great Citrix Enterprise Remote Access. These are the kings of remote access. And GoToMeeting is the king of online meeting services. I know you have other choices, and I encourage you to try them all. But
this is the one that works.
This is the one you want. I don't know what else to say. This is the one you want. But here's the deal. Try them all. You got a 30-day free trial with GoToMeeting. Have your next meeting with GoToMeeting and see how people react. You could start the meeting so easily. You could do it an email invitation that, by the way, includes a real phone number because that's built in. They've got a voice bridge built in, as well as the ability to click a link and use your built-in computer speakers and microphone and have the meeting over VoIP. It even works on the iPad. The GoToMeeting app on the iPad is free. And as long as you're within, I haven't tried it on 3G, but I would think it would work with 3G as well. You can just wander anywhere and have a meeting. That's just amazing. Mac, PC, cross-platform, easy to use. And that's important, too, because if it's a sales presentation, you don't want to say, oh, hey, client, I'm going to make you do all this work to do the presentation. Very simple. They click a link. The GoToMeeting software downloads. It takes about 30 seconds, and now they're seeing your computer screen on their computer screen. They see your Keynote presentation. They see your websites. You can collaborate on documents. You can share screens. They can share screens back.
Oh, and that's we have people who have asked us, because we use GoToMeeting a lot, and they ask, you can use these clients and you can do this stuff, and I was like, have you done that with someone who doesn't know how to?
Yeah, that's the real issue.
That's the thing is that you can just send a link,
easy.
To do that.
It is fantastic. I want you to try it free for 30 days. Go to meeting.com. Click the Try It Free button. Use the offer code MacBreak. GOTO meeting.com. Offer code MacBreak. 30 days free. So there's no excuse. As many meetings as you want, by the way, as long as you want. You just pay a flat monthly rate. I think it's $49. That includes the voice bridge. That includes VoIP. That includes all the software. It's amazing. Free for the first 30 days. Go to meeting.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code MacBreak. Please do use MacBreak so that we get credit for it.
Yes.
I don't want them to think that some other show drove you to it.
No, because no other show on this network actually advertises with GoToMeeting, so we want to make sure that...
Actually, they all do. But I'm not going to say anything. MacBreak. Real quick, and then we'll get to the big, I think even a bigger story this week, of course, the privacy issue. But for some reason, this just came out in Apple Insider. Apple retail employees have been told they may not request vacation days May 20th, 21st, or 22nd. Now, it could be a coinky-dink, but that happens to be the 10th anniversary of the first Apple Store.
Party at the Apple Store.
Or
I'm going to go to the Ginza. I'm going to go to the Ginza Apple Store.
I'll be in Paris. I'll go to the Paris Apple Store.
I'll be in Tokyo.
Let's report in.
Okay.
I'll report from Paris. You report from the Ginza.
Ginza.
That's not the same as Ginsu, is it? No. Those are the knives.
It is the Ginza Apple Store in which we got that story from. You know, the one about Apple taking care of people during the earthquake. But the Ginza store is one of the coolest Apple stores. If you're ever in Tokyo, it's like 5 stories high. There's this cool elevator that takes you to each one. There's a theater on one whole floor. It's really cool.
Now, they did this before this year, iPad 2 and Verizon iPhone. I am going to go out on a limb. We're starting to, maybe Zach Efron. Maybe I did it. I finally did it. I knew I would do it. So I've gotten it out of the way, Erfon Elijah. Maybe you know something. We're starting to see a lot of rumors flowing around about a new iPhone. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe there will be one.
I think there will be, but I don't think it's going to be an iPhone 5. I think it's going to be an iPhone 4S.
4S, and what will it have?
Excuse me. I think that basically what they're going to do is just put a lot of the hardware that they have in the iPad 2 in the iPhone 4S. And it makes sense for them to do that because, Apple likes to standardize the hardware they use across a lot of these mobile devices because it increases their profit margins. Yes. They're going to be buying these things for a better price.
Yes.
And historically, it's kind of what they do, right? They release an OS, and they update it, and then they release a new OS. They release an iDevice, they update it, and then they release a new iDevice. They do this with their computers too. So when we do see a new iPhone 4S, and then I think the iPhone 5 is probably going to come next year with the new form factor that everyone keeps talking about.
And you think the iPhone 4S will be maybe in May or June, or do you think it'll be, as some have said, in the fall?
I think it's going to be in the fall, especially now they just released the white iPhone. It makes 0 sense for them to release a white iPhone.
I think it makes 0 sense for them to release the white iPhone. You can stop. Full stop. Period. Yeah. What the hell? Is there this huge pent-up demand?
I've been waiting for one for a year and a half.
Oh, apparently there is. Really?
There's pent-up demand with him.
Look at this old 3GS I have here.
And you didn't buy an iPhone 4 because...
I've been waiting specifically for the white iPhone. You can make fun of me. All my friends do too.
It's like a foreigner.
I wanted that white iPhone.
So it's your fault.
Well, I don't know. I did send an email to Steve asking for one. Maybe he did it on my account. But
did he say, yep?
That's all he said. Yeah. Yes, it's coming.
Yep. He talks like a cowboy. He talks like Clint Eastwood in one of those spaghetti westerns. Yep. Steve, will there be a white iPhone? Yep. Sure enough. Well, apparently now it's today, right? Or is it? It's supposed to be in the stores. Anybody got a white iPhone yet? Does anybody care? Okay.
It's going to show dirt. That's all I got to say.
It's going to show dirt. I had a white iPhone. I had a white 3G or 3GS. I did. It was only white on the back. This is white on the back and the front.
See, I don't want... So my wife has a white iPad, and I don't really like it that much because I think it's harder when you're watching movies on it.
I don't like it. Also looks like it's smaller. That the bezel looks bigger because it's white. But anyway, we're not gonna worry about you, Erfon. That's just your problem. And so you think that because of the big release of the white iPhone, that they're gonna let that pent up demand abate before they do.
It just doesn't make sense to me to release something that people have been waiting for, and then 2 months later or a month later to be like, oh, and by the way, that thing you just bought, forget about that. Here's a new thing.
And do you think we'll see a T-Mobile? Do you think we'll see the T-Mobile one that they've been rumored? Will that be part of the iPhone 4S?
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. AT&T's trying to get their hands on T-Mobile, so it's only a matter of time before they have it. And now that they're testing it, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw that very soon within the next 4 to 6 months.
So it would make sense they would put an A5 chip in there. It makes sense that if they can get that Qualcomm dual CDMA GSM chip, they'd put that in there. Then they'd only have to make one SKU.
Exactly.
For everything.
And now the one, have you seen? We've all seen these photoshopped images with a thin bezel, or maybe it's not. And a smaller screen, same resolution, smaller screen. You think that's what the iPhone 4S will be? That skinny iPhone?
Are you talking about the one that's tapered? It looks like a teardrop.
Yeah.
Boy, I hope so. That thing looked great, but you know, it's just like all the other mock-ups I've seen where some really great artists put something together.
That's what it looked like to me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks awesome, doesn't it? With the little sliding home button. So I hope so, but I don't think that's what it's going to look like.
Okay, well, there you have it. We don't know.
It's definitive. We have absolutely no idea what's going to happen.
And his
I think it's just a big party.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it could be a big party. It could be if it weren't for the weekend, I would say one possibility would be they're just training up. But I just think I think all signs point to some sort of event. And I don't want to complicate the discussion, but I did find 5 different religious websites that claim that May 21st is going to be the Biblical Armageddon Day. So maybe they want the whole Apple family to be together so they can usher in the tongues of fire.
You know, it might turn out that during the rapture, it turns out if you're an Apple user, you're going to heaven. And they're just preparing everybody.
Well,
they're getting them all. You get everybody to the stores because that's where the liftoff is going to occur. The stores, it turns out, are not just stores. They are spaceships.
I'm going to get my running shoes and
this is my Scientology theory here, is that all the Apple stores are actually spaceships. We've been part of this religion for a long time. We're all going to the Apple store on the day of Armageddon, and we're all blasting off while the Earth just folds into nothing. Here
you will receive your black Nikes
May
and
21st.
your purple shroud in the mail. If you did not register a product in the past 30 days, you can purchase them for a nominal fee at the App Store.
Now, Arnold Kim posted yesterday on MacRumors.com yet another picture. This one of an iPhone 4S with a bigger screen. Actually, it's from Mike Gadget, M-I-C Gadget.
It looks nice. Who knows?
I don't know. It looks cardboard, to be honest with you. It doesn't look real.
It's just has Apple ever gone that far to build such a radically new device when they have useful devices already in the chain? Their history has always been bring out the new one and deeply discount the old one to keep all the Android competitors at bay. So I honestly can say that I have no hard evidence one way or another, but I suspect that we'll see. We'll see an iPhone 4 that suddenly goes for $149 to $99, and an iPhone 5 or iPhone 4S that retains the same price point.
All right, let's talk about the privacy issue because it broke this week. That did we talk about this last week? I guess not.
I think it happened Thursday.
It happened after, yeah. And I have to say, I downloaded. There's a little program that you can download.
I posted mine.
I was a little disappointed with mine. It didn't look like it was actual GPS coordinates. It looked like cell towers.
No, cell towers. It's not GPS.
It wasn't very accurate. In fact, it was
cell tower and Wi-Fi. Well, I'll also realize that there are 2 different pieces of data going out here. The app itself, the people who released that app intentionally fudged the location data so that it could not be used for bad things. That's why if you look at the results of your map, every single point seems to be on a square.
They're in a row.
That's the degree of
that's the fudging.
They rounded it off.
Right. However, the bad news is that the actual data is far more accurate. The good news is that, like we've been saying, it's not GPS. It's not direct. It's not getting information directly from the GPS radio. It's getting information from cell towers, which it's then converting into a calculated guesstimate of what the GPS coordinate is, and that's really all it is.
And Wi-Fi access spots. It's the AGPS, it's the assisted GPS. And the Wall Street Journal yesterday, they've been really hot on the trail of this story. They say even if you turn off location services, which makes sense because you're turning off the GPS, it will still collect and store that location data in the SQL database. So that was Apple's response is, well, you can opt out by turning off location services, but the Journal says no. In fact, actually, Apple hasn't had any response to this location gate, except I'm looking again at MacRumors.com, and again, you never know when somebody says, oh, I got an email from Steve Jobs, if it's real or not. So take this with a grain of salt, but this is what MacRumors says. One MacRumors reader emailed Apple CEO Steve Jobs asking for clarification. Steve, could you please explain the necessity of the passive location tracking tool embedded in my iPhone? It's kind of unnerving knowing that my exact location is being recorded at all times. Maybe you could shed some light on this for me before I switch to a Droid. They don't track me. Steve's answer, oh, yes, they do.
Yeah.
And this is the important part. We don't track anyone. The information circulating around is false. If Steve sent that, I don't think Steve sent that because it's not true. I mean, there's a file on your computer that has your tracking, so I don't think he would. I don't think he would deny something that's patent. Say something that's patently false.
Right.
Or it could be I did not have sexual relations with that GPS tracking database. It depends on you have to say, okay, is Apple tracking users? And one possibility is they can say, well, no, we're not tracking the users. We're just trying to build a database of Wi-Fi. We're trying to build a database of Wi-Fi hotspots.
It's a Skyhook.
We can then use, exactly to replace the Skyhook database. So no, we're not tracking you. We're just trying to build a database of these things. And some guy forgot to purge the cache as it should, and now there's this. Well, I don't know.
Actually, that seems credible to me. To be honest, we're keeping because So the idea of Skyhook is, and if you've always wondered, well, how does it know from Wi-Fi where I am? Well, Skyhook is a commercial company that does this, that they basically drive around. Google was doing it too. This is how Google got in trouble, driving around, matching GPS coordinates with Wi-Fi access spots. Having that information, then you can triangulate somebody's location, not as well as GPS, but pretty well with Wi-Fi only. The Skyhook database is used by a lot of companies. I don't know if Apple uses it in the iPhone.
I believe Apple does use it, but it obviously would be way more accurate if you had every person using an iPhone uploading information. You can really triangulate that well. So all you need to track, if you're doing that, is not personal information, but merely Wi-Fi access spot name and GPS location, and then periodically upload that to Apple. That would be commensurate with the Apple TOS. Right. Was the data is the data on your phone, Andy, anonymized? Can you tell if it's you?
If I looked at the database, I didn't see anything that I could directly link to actually myself. I guess
they know it's you because they're getting it from you.
Right. Well, I mean, they could see they're two different and brick wall separated issues here. Number one is why this phone is recording this data, and I really think it's just something internal where it's saying, here's how we can basically improve the performance of our location services. Here's how we can essentially rebuild this database that we don't have to pay money for.
It makes sense that they do that.
And that there was never any intention of this file ever being seen or touched by anybody. And so on that basis, people are being a little bit paranoid, being a little bit, Glenn Beck-ish about what Apple is doing. But the bad news is that it didn't take very long for No Goodniks to figure out that, hey, wait a minute, there is a freely accessible file containing a rough track of where this user was and when they were there. Not only that if someone has not encrypted their iPhone backups, that means that if I have access to their Mac or their PC for just 5 or 10 minutes, all I have to do is copy that file to a flash drive, and I have nearly a year's worth of very, very good time-dated location data that I can then use for purposes that are probably not going to work in this person's best interest. Yeah. So I think that Apple's making a mistake by focusing on the sort of, hey, we're not doing anything bad, we're not tracking, we're not doing this. They should acknowledge that, ooh, that's right. That would be a bad thing for someone to grab a hold of if you don't want your soon-to-be ex-spouse to know where you were on a certain date or a certain time.
Someone was saying that because I was twittering that I didn't care, and so someone was saying,
care either.
Well, someone said, well, you should post it. So I did. Yeah. So if you go to bordersack.com, you'll see my maps.
Yeah,
I posted all the maps. So I went in and took a whole bunch of screen grabs of my maps, and they're cool looking. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't show some of my stuff in Tanzania and Zimbabwe.
I have all over South America. I have Paris. I have a lot of places.
Brazil. I was like,
I want to see the actual data instead of the fuzzed data, because then it really would be you walking all over the place.
I will say that I definitely did not. I definitely when I posted my own screen cap, I think there should be a really good group source map of where technology writers have been in their lives based on what screenshots they've posted of this utility. But when I posted my own screenshot, I basically chose here's the Cape Cod, because I already blogged about a little trip I took to the Cape in the summer. But I don't want that database to be public. Nonetheless, it occurred to me that, gosh, if this were a secure file that only I could get access to, it would actually be kind of useful to me to figure out, to have this database where I can say, Yeah, like if I was in London, a couple of months ago, and I found this really great restaurant, but I didn't write it down, I can't remember it. I can just simply load a really cool iOS app that say, "Hey, please rewind to where I was on this day and this time."
I'd like it. Somebody rear-ended me yesterday in San Francisco, and I forget what intersection it was, and that way I could go right there and say, "Oh yeah, that's where I pulled over to get his insurance information." It would have been very useful to me. So yeah, And now the Android phones do this, but they warn you when you first turn on the phone that they're going to do it, and you can uncheck that box. Google also makes that information, if you sign up for Latitude or if you have a Google account, makes that information available to you so you can see it. They're not hiding it, but at the same time, I think they're doing the same thing. And in fact, I think that's what those Google Street View cars were doing when they got in trouble for saving open access spot information. They were just collecting the same kind of information.
I think it's going to be difficult to prove that this is going against the TOS.
No, in fact, the TOS specifically says you can. They are doing this.
Right. That's what I'm saying. All these people are investigating this. I think these are politicians trying to make look useful. But I don't think that. I think that the bottom line is that when you hit "I agree," you are really agreeing to that. They're not hiding anything from you.
I think it's very valuable that two senators are essentially putting pressure on Apple and Google to say, please come out in public and explain why you feel these devices need to collect so much information. I know that there was, in the 81 pages of legalese people click through before using their phone, we did say that we will collect user information, location information, but it really does need to be spelled out.
It's 35 pages. I mean, come on.
Also, I mean, it's an education sort of thing. There's so many totally innocuous reasons why a phone could be doing that. Again, coming back to network performance and system performance, they need to know why was essentially one person who worked for one of the big three carriers was trying to explain to me the other day exactly why one model of Android phone that they have keeps and transmits really kind of sensitive location data back to the mothership. And it's because that they are concerned about coverage in certain areas. And the only way they can figure out exactly where they need to improve their signals in certain locations is to have the phone report back saying, hey, on this date and this time I was in this location. And even though the network, the network was saying that I should have good signal strength, but I couldn't get anything anywhere. And that's essentially where they figure out where to put their next strategy.
It's your phone saying, can you hear me now?
Well,
can you hear me now?
And I think that one of the things for those of us on shows, and more so for you, Leo, and Andy than me, but
because we have cloud scores in the high 70s.
Exactly, I'm in the high 50s, But what I'm saying is that for if I want something to be private, I don't touch the internet.
Well, I'm
just kind of like, as soon as it goes on the internet, I'm like, well,
I say this on the radio. If you don't, if you're going to commit a murder, you might want to leave your cell phone behind. Because, of course, it's tracking. And we've talked the other day about color, turning on the mic, and, I mean, all of this stuff. Of course, this is the world's...
But let's not dismiss this. It's sort of like it's the same situation as if you had a home security system, and it's an incredible home security system. Your doors are reinforced. There's 5 million bit encryption on the encryption key, but the company has a 48 key master password they can use just to do system maintenance. You don't need to know that, and it's not a violation of terms of service. But you better believe that people who have an interest in breaking into your house know that there's a 48 character master password that has a 1 in 6 chance of opening any door that has that special sticker in the door jam. I mean, that's why it's if only just to basically put some baking soda on this fire. Google and Apple needs to come up with something better than we don't track you. Goodbye.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it should be very clear. It should be mentioned from time to time. And that Apple's actually done that for a number of things where they say, now remember, we're doing this, and I think that that's appropriate. Yeah. They should. I guess people are saying, well, how can you be okay with this? I'm okay with it because I don't think it was nefarious. I don't think it was, and besides, what are they going to do with 39.7 million tracking files? Exactly. I mean, what is it that you're worried about them doing? Worst case scenario, they're giving it as Domino's Pizza so you can get a coupon when you walk by next time. I mean, that's the worst, right?
I'm a little bit more paranoid about Google than about Apple. Because I was in London, in London, I was being driven past Google headquarters, and I couldn't help but instinctively say, "Oh, that's Google." I thought that my movements were being monetized as we drove past the roads of this block. If there's a way to make eight tenths of 1 cent off anything that I ever do, they're going to figure out how to do it.
That's their business, yeah. And so you have to look at what a company's business is and where they make their money. Apple makes their money by selling hardware. Only secondarily by selling ads. Google makes all their money by selling ads. So of course you got to look at where the money comes from, and that's what they're going to do. I think that all these companies ought to let us know, and I'm sure that the Congress. I mean, this is a big stink pile that they've created, and Congress is going to absolutely jump into this and mandate it. And that's probably why the biggest reason it was a mistake is because now they've got Congress saying, "Well, you got to do it." But I think they should do it. They need to let us know. By the way, the bottom line is if you encrypt your backups, your drive stuff on your drive is safe. It's still on your phone. You know, we haven't. I keep waiting for Armageddon, the day that the bad guys really start to attack cell phones, because they're wide open, and that's not the only data on your cell phone. And it's just a matter of time before they get Trojans on our phones. And I keep waiting for that to happen. I don't know why it hasn't.
Well, and I think that what's most important about this whole lesson is to continue to remind people that there is nothing that you can do that's connected to the internet or your cell phone that is private.
Exactly.
You know, and you just and so I think that having those reminders is important because it's good for people to continue to remind. You know, because people have this little thing like if I'm surfing at home, it's going to be fine, or if I'm on a Wi-Fi in an airport. I'm sure that nobody's looking. Looking through my packets, or all of those things.
Your internet service provider or wireless carrier knows all this stuff too.
Right.
They know exactly where you are based on your tower location or your IP address.
Right.
Your ISP sees every packet that goes through. Your wireless carrier sees every packet that goes through on the internet.
I mean, if you want to be paranoid,
you're kidding yourself
when you see a pop-up window come up and go deals in Petaluma when you're surfing the web. You're like
real.
They just saw you go by and they knew where you were.
Facebook just announced this new thing, the coupon thing too. They're all doing it. So I think it's a little disingenuous of the Wall Street Journal to say they're tracking you. Of course they are. But I guess there are a lot of people, in fact, I know there are a lot of people who don't know this, so it's valuable that this word go forth. And if you want to be private, there's a cabin in the Cascade mountain range that with your name on it.
Right. Privacy is such a granular and fuzzy concept. I was kind of a little bit shocked when I was setting up that G Slate tablet last week, and Google has a really great system where you log in your Google account and it will re-download all your apps. It will set it up for you, set up your Gmail account, no tethering, no nothing. You're up and going in 30 seconds. I thought, hey, that's great, until I realized that it was set up for 4G first, that it now had access to my private secured Wi-Fi network at home. And like, why does it have access to my Wi-Fi network? And I realized that when I tested another tablet a month or two ago, I said, please synchronize data. It saved the password into the cloud. And I'm kind of used to the idea of saying I'm used to the idea that something that private would not be included in the list of things that I've given permission for this service to back up into the cloud. And so I had to go and reset everything because I don't want this. I don't want this being on a Google server. I don't know if my password is pretty secure, but I don't want the idea that someone will guess correctly and suddenly it's just. I try to think that I'm very, very careful about that sort of stuff, but even I made an incorrect assumption about what on this device would be kept private and what would be backed up and what would be made public. So,
yeah, I mean, all these companies have a considerable amount of work to do in this area.
They're all bastards. They're all bastards.
But anybody who listens to this show by now should know that that's. And, Apple says you can turn off location services, but get none of the benefits of location services, and then you're private. And so, yeah.
And then why? And then the question is why are you using your iPhone at that point? Like, if you turn off location services, it takes all the fun out of it.
Right. Well, and even if you turn off location services, your wireless carrier still knows exactly where you are.
Right.
Let's take a break. Come back with more. We're going to have to get Erfon to talk more. You're too shy.
I've just been absorbing the wisdom.
No. That's not the point. You could do that from the audience. We put you up on the stage here. No, it's our fault because we just basically are a bunch of gas bags. I just encourage you to puncture the gas bag, hold your nose, and come right in.
Okay.
The water's warm. Boy, that was a bad mixed metaphor. Hey, let me talk a little bit about PDF Pen and PDF Pen Pro. This is such a great solution. I've been filling out PDF forms for my kid. Camp is coming up, and you got to sign up and get the health forms and all that stuff. And if you're lucky, the website will give it to you in a PDF format, not necessarily in any way you can edit. Usually, what they say is print this, fill it out, scan it, and mail it back. I'm not doing that. That's why I love PDF Pen and PDF Pen Pro from Smile Software. Of course, I love Smile Software anyway. I've been a big Smiles fan for years. They used to be Smile on my Mac, and now they're Smile, and it still will make you smile. You can get PDF Pen or PDF Pen Pro on your Apple App Store if you choose. We don't happen to get credit for that if you do, but I'm not going to make it hard for you. Or just buy it online. It's a really great tool to make PDFs easy to edit. You can change the PDF without going back to the original. Go paperless with their built-in OCR. You can add text, images, and signatures all with your mouse or keyboard. I have my signatures and my kids' signatures and my initials and everything. I gave Henry a piece of paper and I said, sign this. He said, why? I said, just sign it. Don't ask questions. No, I said, because I have to. Actually, is this wrong? One of the things he's going to this summer, they have a form where the kid's supposed to read it and agree, not to smoke pot, not to play his music too loud, be good. And they sign the contract. And I just wanted to get the paperwork back. So I said, Henry, just give me your signature. I'll sign all that for you.
I don't think that's the way it's supposed to work.
I think they're supposed to sign
There's something about signatures.
But I didn't
want
to print it out and have him sign it and then scan it. So I'll just go over it with him. How about that? And make him sign a copy locally. It's in. Well, now I have his signature in my library on PDF Pen, which is so great because I could just paste it or my signature in. See the annotations. You can circle, draw on it, images, correct text, do it all right within the PDF. It's such a sweet tool. I just love this, and you're going to love it too. PDF Pen is $59.99. PDF Pen Pro is $99.99. It adds some additional features, but you can try it free. Not in the App Store, but at the Smile website. So that's probably a good reason to go to the Smile website and give it a try.
Then we get me a mug
for it. Yeah, we have a bunch of mugs.
I got a mug.
Yeah.
Yep, this is a nice mug.
Gene brought some mugs, not bugs. Gene brought some mugs back to us. SmileSoftware.com/MacBreak. We ask you to use that MacBreak URL so that we get credit. And if you like it, just the fact that you went to this site, you can still then buy it on the App Store. But try it free for 30 days, and then if you like it, buy it on the App Store if you wish. You don't have to. And do like them on Facebook, too, because they're likable people. It's
a great company.
Mac developers, in general, I think, are the greatest people in the world. And Smile is a really good example of that. So go to their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/SmileSoftware. I'm going to press the like button. And yes, I like them. See, there's the mug that you got. We should take a picture of that mug and send it out. Oh, look, PDF Pen is in the Evernote trunk. Oh. Don't buy it that way. Buy it. we want credit. Get the free trial, smilesoftware.com. Oh. Smilesoftware.com/MacBreak. Then you can buy it anywhere you want after that. Try it free this way. Does that make sense?
Download it.
In fact, this is a good time to download it. If you've got kids and you've got to fill out those forms, download it, and then you don't even have to buy it. I am not good at these ads. I really got to work on my... Gene, I'm sorry, but I just love it. I know they're going to buy it. It's great stuff. Smilesoftware.com. Nice people. /MacBreak. MacBreak. Brains. Apple's being sued over these tracking things. Of course, that was only inevitable. And by the way, one advice, I heard one security expert say, this is fine, just don't jailbreak your iPhone. Because you're really opening it up to getting hacked and people stealing that file.
Because people then can do a remote login directly onto the device as opposed to needing physical access to your unencrypted file on the Mac itself or the PC itself. So
on the other hand, as Erfon will, I'm sure, point out, there's an article on Cult of Macs showing you how to jailbreak and then stopping. It's called an untrackered. Stops the iOS location data. So untrackered is a jailbreak-only program. So if you are going to jailbreak, install this.
There you go.
There you go.
I mean, I think for most people, this whole tracking thing is kind of a non-issue. It's definitely something that you should be aware of, like Andy said, but it's kind of like AntennaGate. I feel like this whole thing is getting blown out of proportion. Apple's doing really well. They have lots of money. People are going to sue them over this because they know they can get some of that money. But overall, it's like phones track you. They have GPS inside. I mean, it's like, what are you going to expect, And plus, it's like if you crash your car and you land in a ditch and no one knows you're there and they're trying to find where you are, or you're lost in the forest, then that GPS becomes very handy, right? Because people can find you. So there's good things about it, too.
Yeah.
I lost my car one time. I really wish I had an iPhone in there.
Parked it in front of the liquor store and then forgot.
It wasn't because I was drunk either. I'm just a little absent-minded at times.
You know, that's a good point. I was in an accident 2 or 3 years ago, and I had like a minor concussion, and I had memory problems for like 6 months, and that happened to me too. And, you know, it's the strange feeling when you come out of a store and you have no idea in the middle of a city where your car is. And my iPhone helped me find it.
Yeah. Well, and that's another point is if you use Find My iPhone, that's not going to work if you turn off location service. I guess all I'm saying is, first of all, of course they do this. What a surprise. Second of all, I think every company now, it behooves them. It's really important that they at least let you know and periodically remind you we're doing this so that people at least have the choice. That's all.
Not only that, but if you're going to store that data even for a completely legitimate purpose, be aware of the fact that this is an incredibly important it's an incredibly important file that needs to be secured against access from no good people.
And that was an error. That was clearly a bad mistake. That was an error.
In our office, when we have data like that, and it can be private, private company data that we've recorded or something like that, we call it fissionable material. So that's the short note. Like when we hand them a disk, like this disk contains fissionable material, and that means that there's a whole different set of rules that apply to that data.
I'm more concerned about companies being stupid than actually being nefarious. The Boston Globe just a few years ago, one of the worst breaches of customer secured data ever, because I guess they recycle paper like from the office, like in the printing department. So for an entire Sunday edition, like thousands and thousands and thousands of bundles of newspapers came with like a little top sheet that simply had, this is Zone 8412, but it was printed off of the recycled paper that someone had used to print out a complete customer database on every one of the subscribers. So basically, every 50th paper came with a free list of confidential personal information of all subscribers. It was a bit of a black eye for the newspaper industry that has already been reeling from a lot of hits in the past few years.
So, according to Paul Allen, and by the way, thanks somebody in the chat room. That's actually his handle in the chat room, somebody, for passing this along from the unofficial Apple weblog. Steve Jobs is monomaniacal. This is an interview that Paul Allen did. He's got this book he's peddling with the Sunday Times. He praised Apple's almost unbelievable turnaround since Jobs returned to the company in '97. But he also said that Jobs is monomaniacal. Well, what a surprise! Is he telling us anything we don't know?
Well, better than CEOs that are multiple maniacs.
Yeah, you don't want. Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think it means he likes to wear a monocle, right?
And that funny hat that he wore.
Yeah.
People from personal Zeppelin that hovers around the campus.
It means he is a monomaniac. He is a monomaniac means he's obsessed with a single thing, and I think that actually that's probably fairly accurate. He is obsessed,
and
we
are the benefactors.
And we are the benefactors. So nothing wrong with that.
And that single thing is awesomeness.
Yeah.
Oh, what a horrible, horrible personality trait.
Yeah. Let me see. He also had some nasty things to say about Google founders Sergey Brin and Larry Page. He says, I chuckle when I see people pushing the boundaries all the time of what they can do to monetize things, capture things, and then say, we're not evil, as if their default is not to push the boundaries. This is kind of talks to our privacy conversation. He says, if your default is to push the boundary, go for it. But don't say you're not evil. That's a good. I think that's actually pretty. I praise Paul for that. I think he's actually fairly accurate.
Did you see the interview in 60 Minutes?
No, I didn't. Did you?
It was good.
I'm dying to see it. I'll have to. There's a 60 Minutes iPad app. It's probably on there.
Yep. The 60 Minutes iPad app is actually awesome. I just have to say, you can watch all the little segments. I've kind of stopped watching on TV. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
No, I think they probably are just as happy if you watch it on the iPad. If they're not, they better get happy.
Yeah, because they made it.
Because it's kind of the future.
Yeah.
Erfon, where did you get this video of a guy who looks a lot like Steve Jobs?
Oh my gosh. if you haven't watched that, you should check it out. So there was this video circulating on these Asian websites of Steve Jobs practicing his iPhone 5 keynote. And it's this guy kind of far away, and he sounds like George W. Bush. And he's saying the most stupid things about the iPhone 5. Like, it's going to have its own version of smell-o-vision. and my favorite part is at the very end, he's like, I need my shoes, you know? So he dons his classic running shoes that he wears. And he does this quick, like, in-place foot shuffle, and then he compares the lightweightedness of his shoes to the light, airy weight of the iPhone 5. And people thought this was real.
That is just bizarre.
And I couldn't believe it.
That is just
super
bizarre.
I mean, the whole video, I'm wondering if it was made as a joke and people actually saw it and then maybe started taking it seriously.
This looks like the video that I shot at the iPad announcement, actually.
Apple has designed digital synth technology. Right here. Speaking of lighter, are my barefoot here?
Do you mean your shoes?
Yeah.
It's coming up. This part's great.
I think this was done in a high school.
That was a great line read, by the way.
Oh, they're so comfy. Like an iPhone 5.
Can we start from the top?
Okay, from the top.
He sounds like, can we start it from the top? Yep, we're going to do it again.
Someone's written a one-man show that he's trying to get back.
That's what it is. And then I like the page. I can't read anything on the page, but it looks like I can get noodles.
They need to have that guy at the next Macworld. He needs to give the keynote.
Wow. Wouldn't that be funny if Steve Jobs says, you've all seen him on the internet. Now here he is.
Well, they are retooling the Spider-Man musical. Maybe he's going to be like the character.
Fly in. Mac users are more educated and less likely to ride Harley motorcycles. I kept seeing this in my feed all week, and I kept trying not to read it. But I managed to somehow see it anyway.
I thought it was pretty interesting, actually.
You think it's from
none of it was particularly
it's from
surprising.
Hunch.com.
But none of it was particularly surprising. It was all like, yeah, that's pretty much the...
Well, that's why I kind of thought this can't really be true. I mean, it's like it's just what everybody thinks. I don't know. It just didn't seem... I don't know.
It kind of makes sense to me. I haven't read the article, but aren't Mac users really into value, right? And Harley Davidsons are, you know, like not really a great value, so maybe you wouldn't want to drive one. Maybe you drive a Honda instead. So the way they did this, Hunch, I'm a member of Hunch.com. They ask you questions. There's other parts, other functionality, but when you go to Hunch.com, you'll get a bunch of questions. You can answer as many as you want. So they got 388,000 respondents answering these Apple questions, and then they put together, based on that, a profile of exactly what you would think. Which is,
turned out it was exactly what we expected.
But it's kind of it's a self-referential. It's all of us answering the questions. I'm trying to pull it up right now so I can give you the results on the blog.
And when did motorcycle ridership become a metric of consumers?
I don't know.
It's sort of like the line, and he's a person you'd most want to have a beer with. Oh, I don't think. Okay.
So of 388,350 Hunch users answering the question, are you a Mac or a PC person, 25% admitted to being a Mac person, 52% PC people, 23% neither. Among the self-proclaimed PC and Mac users, PC people 22% more likely to be older, 35 to 49. Mac users tend to be 18 to 34. 36% of PC people are self-described politically liberal, 36%. 58% of Mac. So they're liberal, young liberals. 52% live in a city. 67% have completed a 4-year college degree or higher. Not me, not Steve Jobs, but the rest of you. PC people are 26% more likely to fit in with others. Mac people, 13% more likely than PC people to say they want to be perceived as unique and different. Of course.
So they have that in common, ironically enough.
Mac people are 50% more likely than PC people to say they frequently throw parties.
We're party animals.
You frequently throw parties.
I do throw parties.
Yeah. Andy doesn't seem like he throws a lot of parties, though.
I throw for my stuffed dog and for my Batman action figures. We have a wonderful team.
Yeah, it's a close personal friends. How about Erfon?
Don't make hats.
You throw a lot of parties, Erfon?
Oh, all the time. Go to parties, throw parties.
When I was in college, I threw epic
Please explain this to me. PC people are 33% more likely than Mac people to say that two random people are more different than alike. Mac people tend to say people are more alike. PC people tend to say people are more different. I don't know what that means.
That's because Mac people run into other Mac people and decide that we're all alike.
We're all alike.
Because you know that in an airport you can walk up to a person with a Mac and start talking to them.
PC people are more mathematically inclined?
Yeah, because they have to figure things out themselves rather than having
There's a certain muscle in their brain that works better than
damn, there's still no tip calculator for my Windows phone. Okay, let's move the decimal point over one place and then double. What's the?
So the Harley stat actually gave you a choice between a Harley and a Vespa. And 69% of PC people prefer the Harley to the Vespa. 52% of Mac people prefer the Vespa to the Harley.
That in no way surprises me.
I'd rather have a Vespa. You guys, Vespa, Harley?
Vespa.
I'd rather have a Vespa, too.
I think I'd look less stupid on a Harley.
Ah, that's about right. One in four. PC.
I think it's just a size thing. There's once you're above like 200 pounds, I think there's a certain like surface aspect. Kind of,
you look stupid on the big butt on the Vespa.
I take it almost daily constitutional. I'm not in terrible shape, but yeah.
No, you like me. We're beefy.
It's what the curse is. It's that picture of those twins on the little mini dirt bikes in the Guinness Book.
Yes, exactly.
You're not nearly as bad as that, but you just don't want to evoke the same sort of visceral cultural response.
See, if they put a Segway in there, I think we would have gone through the roof on the Segway.
Nobody doesn't look cool in a Segway. I'm sorry, that is just liquefied awesome, liquefied cool.
PC people tend to prefer sweet snacks to salty snacks. Mac people vice versa.
Oh God! Slow news day, guys. Slow news day.
I know. That's why I resisted this.
I'm not talking about us. I'm not talking about people in that office trying to come up with that poll. If given a choice between shingling a house and mowing a driveway.
Yeah, but that's what Hunch does. PC people prefer Pepsi. Mac people prefer San Pellegrino Limonata.
Okay, I call no way. Now I know.
I think and here's the worst part is I still went, yes.
Yes.
I think I have some of that in my fridge.
I like the limonada. Mac people are 80% more likely to be vegetarians.
I believe that too.
We prefer hummus. They like tuna fish. They like strawberry daiquiris. We like hot toddies.
We don't have enough money left over for meat.
Maybe that's it.
We're all
spend all our money on hardware.
We're all eating Goya black beans and rice every single night to pay for the iPhone.
They like white Zinfandel. We like Chianti.
Ooh.
I don't like white Zinfandel. The majority of Mac people and PC people both consider their respective companies to be most responsible for driving the global growth and adoption of computing. We did it. No, we did it. PC people like USA Today. Mac people like the Times.
What are our opinions on Suzanne Summers? Especially
okay, enough. It is. It's dopey, and I'm sorry I even brought it up. It's dopey, but it's fun.
70% of both people think she's had way too much cosmetic surgery.
That's right. We're going to take a break. Come back. Andy has an incredible pick for us coming up in just a little bit. I'm excited about this. Our picks.
We all should be excited.
Yeah, we all should be excited. We all win. But first, before our picks of the week, and by the way, I don't know if they told you, but just pick some software or hardware, something you like.
Oh, I've got one locked and loaded.
Locked and loaded, baby. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends at FreshBooks. This should be my pick. This was a lifesaver when Amber Mack told me about FreshBooks in 2004, 7 years ago. Because I was suffering. I was in invoice hell. It was horrible having to do an invoice, actually several invoices every month, and knowing if I don't do this thing I don't want to do, I won't get paid. I still put it off, and I still didn't get paid. So FreshBooks came along, one of the really best Web 2.0 sites early on. And I think Amber told me about the site not because she wanted to save me time invoicing, but just she said, this is a great site. Like, this is just kind of how web apps should be. And of course, 2 million people later, this is the invoicing place. I mean, it's so great. Easy online invoicing. Try FreshBooks.com and you will get paid faster because there's actually a Pay Me Now button on the invoice. People can use their credit card or Online payment services like PayPal and Authorize.net to pay you. Automatic payments, if they agree, you can have automatic invoices and payments. You just kind of completely step out of the way, let the computers handle it. Let the robots do it. Complete currency agnostic. It's just nice because I used to bill in Canada and the U.S., and it was nice to not have to worry about which is which, and it does a conversion automatically. Automatic late payment reminders in case your clients are not fast to pay. They can even print up paper invoices, which is very handy. Some of the older clients like those paper invoices. It's professional looking. It's easy to use. If you bill by the hour, they've got apps on the web and on the iPhone that will automatically track your hours and then stick them in the invoice automatically, which makes it so easy. This is just a great way to invoice. Try it free right now for the first 3 clients. That's right. Free for 3. And every week, FreshBooks has a drawing among all the new users for a birthday cake. No birthday necessary. Birthday not included. Easy online invoicing. FreshBooks.com. We love them, and I know you love them too.
They're fresh.
They're fresh. If you're an invoicer, this is what you want.
And I can tell you from personal experience that the cake is good.
You've had it.
I had it. We had a producer, John Riley. Actually,
cool.
he invoices us with FreshBooks, and he got one. He actually called them and said, "I need you to understand that I am a producer on a show that you like. That I won. I really appreciate it." No. He called them and said after he won. He said, "I am a producer on a show that advertises you. I shouldn't be eligible for this." And they're like, "Oh, we'll send you anyone. We'll send another one out, and we'll send you one and call it a day." They were just they were totally. And then we went to the office and we had.
Have we ever received a birthday cake?
Uh-oh.
I don't believe so.
Well, he actually won, though, randomly.
But he uses
he uses FreshBooks. Like, he was using FreshBooks, and he signed up, and he won as a user, them not knowing that he was a producer.
Got it.
And then he felt like he needed to tell them that to make sure that they were clear.
Erfon is locked and loaded with his pick of the week. Erfon Elijah from thecultofmac.com. What do you like?
I have been using an app called WaitBot. It's by the guys that made TweetBot. They made ConvertBot. And basically, it does one thing very well, and that is it helps you track your weight. And every day you enter your weight into this little app, and then you can graph it, and it shows you, like as the month goes on, as the years go on, like how your weight is going up and down. And I really love this a lot because one of my goals in life is not to get old and huge.
Yeah,
I can prevent one of those things.
Yeah. Hey, it works with it works with my scale.
Yeah, it will even connect with your scale wirelessly if you have one of those withing scales.
The withing scales, which I do.
Withing scales.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
That's
how
really
I
cool.
tweet my weight. Cool.
Do you actually tweet your weight?
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Leo's scale, it has to do something.
That's awesome.
It's got to have something to do.
So I use this because I also work out, and it helps me know, like if I need to increase my exercise load per week, if I need to stop eating some particular food. And it's beautifully made. The UI is fantastic, as all the Tapbots apps are. So I would highly recommend it. It's only $2. Great app.
It's really great, and I have to say that I have the Y Things scale as well, and I'm slightly obsessive.
Do you use WeightBot?
I started with WeightBot. Y Things has their own app that graphs and everything else that connects to it, but WeightBot will work great, and I love the interface for WeightBot. And when I first started dieting, I used WeightBot to track it every morning. So if you don't have the Y Things scale, you have to have. I mean, WeightBot is perfect because then I would just type it all in every morning. And I have to admit that typing it in, I was like, it'd be great if a scale was connected to my thing.
Except
so then
typing
I bought
it in makes you a little more aware of it.
Yeah. Well, my whole thing is what a lot of people tell you that you should only do it once a week. Right. I like to do it every day, and the reason that tools like this, like WeightBot and the Y Things are important is because it allows me to look at trends.
Right.
So I get lots and lots of sample points. So I weigh myself every day. It's about 5:30 in the morning, and so it's the same time, it's the same whatever, and I can see what my
that's actually a good thing.
And then I know when I'm getting in trouble. I've eaten too much.
Yeah, exactly. And if you monitor it every day, then you can, adjust as you go along.
Because it's not that one day it can change as much as 3 or 4 pounds, but if you have a whole bunch of days, it'll build a trend line that tells you, kind of the direction, the mean average, the average of what you're doing over time, and that's what you really need to know.
Exactly.
WeightBot. And how much is it?
$2.
$2 in the App Store.
A fair price, if I do say so myself.
I think so.
A bargain at twice the price.
Alex Lindsay, your pick of the week.
So my pick of the week. Hold on, let me open So I was gonna pick something, but it's not quite ready. I was all ready to pick something, and now I'm thrown off.
I can.
Go ahead.
You want a break? I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this actually came about in a very roundabout way. It was a free, on the Amazon App Store for Android. Every day they have a new free app, which is great because it's a great way to get an app for free. And so I check every day. And they had this great radio app for free. So I immediately tried it, and then realized, oh, it's available on the iPhone too, and it's just fantastic. Oh, it's funny. Have I installed it on the iPhone? I haven't, but I'll show it to you on. Please forgive me for this, but I'm going to show it to you on the Android phone. But it looks exactly the same on the iPhone, and it is easily the best radio app, and it's only like 99 cents. So it's called TuneIn Radio, and it looks exactly the same on the iPhone. So pay no attention to that Android-like thing at the bottom there. But it has a few things that I really like about it. First of all, it does tie into the website, the TuneIn website. Here's local stations. Couple of things I really like. One is if a local station has more than one stream, you can choose that stream. So a lot of radio programs, they'll just take the first stream, or there won't be an easy way to discover what other streams there are. Here's our local classical station, and it gives me a number of choices, including 128 kilobit MP3 or AAC. And, well, the AAC is going to sound better, so I would choose that stream. That's really nice. But look at this at the bottom. There's a record button. This is the first program I've seen that lets me record the radio stream as I'm listening to it for later playback in my iPod. I have to say that is, yeah, that, well, I use it for shows like when I'm on a radio show and I want a copy of it, I can do that. Or, I mean, it's just people are still, believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe, but people are still looking for ways to record radio. It seems kind of old-fashioned, doesn't it? Now that we have podcasting and all that. It also ties into their website where there's a directory of 50,000 radio stations. So you can create a directory for your TuneIn Radio. They have home versions. They have mobile versions. I have to say, this is absolutely, it has podcasts too. We're on it. So it could be your podcast listener. And I know one of the problems on the iPhone is that there's no easy way to download podcasts over the air. Well, here's a way to do it with this TuneIn Radio thing, because essentially it streams the podcasts to you as if you were watching them. The website is tunein.com. You can, of course, it's on the App Store. For iOS, it's on many other stores. And it does integrate. You can log into your TuneIn account on the web, so you can set up your app with directories and so forth. I think they've done a really nice job. There are a lot of radio apps for the iPhone. I've used a lot of them. Reciva has one, but this is the best I've found so far, and a really good price. Most of them are about 5 or 6 times more expensive. That's TuneIn if you want to listen to radio or podcasts on your iPhone. I like it a lot. Are you ready now, Alex?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready. There was an app that I was gonna. We'll do it next week. It's not quite finished yet. When I was testing, I liked it, but not quite yet. So anyway, one of them that's really fun is called. Have you seen Percolate?
No.
Percolator. It's Percolator on the iPhone, and it is it's a really interesting little app that basically it's just like a little filter app that creates kind of fun views of your photos. So here's one you can show here. It makes like big circles and stars and kind of converts them. I use these a lot for my my wallpapers on my iPhone. Like I want something that's kind of impressionistic, but not. So you have little sliders down at the bottom. That's my daughter. I just took a picture of her reaching at me.
That's really cool.
But if you change those little sliders at the bottom, it'll change the resolution. It'll change the type of what it's using. This is 99 cents or $1.99 or something like that, and it just creates kind of fun little images that are of course based on the base image that you gave it. And I have fun. I make a lot of my little wallpapers with it because it's subtle. It's not like a photo, but it is it's kind of fun to put as for wallpapers. So that's one. And my other recommendation is just a repeat recommendation because I recommended this a couple of years ago, and sometimes I feel like I have to go back and say, yeah, I'm still using it.
Still here.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a subscription, so I think it's free or it's really cheap to buy. But so if you're traveling a lot, I use the Goldmate. Do you use?
Yes, we talked about this before.
We've talked about it a couple years ago, and
it's called WorldMate.
Oh, WorldMate. I'm sorry, it's WorldMate Gold. I always think of it as Goldmate.
Right.
And I just have to say, I was traveling all over the world over the last 3 weeks, and I would not have survived it without that. Because what happens is you just forward all of your itineraries as you buy hotels and everything else. It scrapes the data, puts it into a workable database, and it has all your confirmation numbers and all the phone numbers, and it updates.
Is it on here? You want me to show it on here?
Yeah. It updates you faster than the airport. Like literally, you'll know that the flight has changed gates before the airport updates its monitors. And so let me see. I don't know if I can show old ones. Let me see.
That's what I use TripIt for.
So here's.
Do you like TripIt, or have you ever tried TripIt?
I played with it, and I just found that this one, while I'm paying a little bit for it, I found that now this is an old trip. This was the Vegas
trip.
There it
is. There's all this stuff.
But the thing is that if you click on one of those, you can go ahead and
everything.
click. This is old, so
it's kind of bright.
So it shows you, exactly what time, and if anything changes, it's an active connection to all of those things.
That's great.
E-ticket. It shows you what kind of plane you're flying. All of those things.
Map of the airport.
Yeah. And it's just, and I just have to say, I was just like, oh, I'm so glad. It is expensive if you
That's the main reason I stopped using it. It's kind of pricey.
It's pricey if you don't. So here's what I'll say: my comparison to TripIt is if you're an occasional traveler, I find that TripIt is awesome. But I found that if I'm doing it all the time, this was a slightly more fluid and was worth whatever $20 a year to do it. So. Anyway, that's it.
I will grant you that.
Gold. And as I said, if you travel as much as I do, if you're not, then it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
So
that looks really awesome. I just gotta say,
it's
WorldMate Gold.
Yeah, it's
and what was the name of the photo?
Percolator.
Percolator. Got that whole coffee metaphor going there. Now, the highlight of our show today: Andy Ihnatko and Neil Gaiman.
Yes, I'm really excited about this. This is our first collaboration since, I think it was 1994, when I, Neil, and my Newton message pad collaborated to do a series of poems as he tried to autograph my Newton with the stylus, and I'd forgotten to turn off handwriting recognition, so it kept turning his signature into increasingly interesting and odd things. And he was doing a signing with Dave McKean, and he was like, "This is wonderful. It's like it's something the Oracle of Delphi." I
don't know what's going to happen.
So I still have, like, on my Newton, a series of poems that Neil wrote that he himself does not know exist. So at some point, that's my retirement fund. I'll make a nice I'll have a nice hand-tooled bronze hammered bookcase for
Written
it. And then,
by Neil Gaiman as interpreted by the Apple Newton.
And a team of dancers. But yeah, this is our second collaboration. There's going to be a 10th anniversary edition of American Gods, and for the 10th anniversary, great book, lovely, probably my favorite one. I think the one of the highest compliments I can pay is that it won't take unless I'm in exactly the right mood. I need to have I need to be in the chair. I need to have hours in which I can focus on it. It's not going to be one of those, I'm waiting in line at the bank, I'll just open up the Kindle app and read a couple of chapters. No, I've got the jacket on, I've got the pipe, no tobacco. And if I need to be holding a pipe, it's just such a really wonderful immersive book. So they're doing HarperCollins Audio is doing an audiobook edition that's going to be fully cast. And I'm proud to say that I do have a small role in it.
Yay!
So there's only one small detail. I do need to get about 1,000 votes on a promotional website. And if I'm in the top 20, then the producers will listen to the audio demo that I uploaded. Yeah, well, it's scribbling and billing. It's more like just to keep it. They make it look fair. And again, Neil and I are incredibly intense.
Are you saying you've already won?
I'm as good as one, because every MacBreak Weekly listener is going to go to neilgaiman.bookperk.com. Is going to click on this is actually the page for my online audition. Going to look for me next to Han Solo and Carbonite right up there.
That'll get my vote right there.
There you go. That's my audition. Unfortunately, you do have to click fill out an online form in order to vote. But the good news is that you can vote like every single day between now and May 2nd next month, which is on Monday, which is when the voting closes. I currently have
I'm just looking here, Andy, at who's number one is Joseph, then Melissa, Rachel, Bradley, Kyle, Melissa, Andrew. Is Andrew Kit? No. Melanie,
No.
Clarissa. Michael, you're not in the top 20, dude.
Well, and I hope to fix that. Unfortunately, I didn't know about this until a little bit later in the game. I only uploaded my demo about a couple of days ago. So I'm at like 200 and something votes. I believe I'll need about 1,000 more to place in the top 20.
Now, how do we find your particular entry?
Well, you can either hit the search box and look for Ihnatko, or you can actually post. If you want to take a look at it right now, I pasted the URL to my demo. Actually in the show notes.
Oh, okay. So
scroll to the very, very bottom.
Let me go get the show notes. Oh, those.
Everybody, and if you want to audition yourself, by all means, there's 20 people who are going to be listened to, so that's perfectly fine. You have to. There's a paragraph of text that you have from the book that you have to record.
That's a good idea,
right? And then you simply upload it to the site. Some of these are actually very, very cool. I was cautious enough that after doing a couple samples on my iPhone, yes. That's from my insider behind the scenes tour of Industrial Light and Magic. The Han Solo and Carbonite prop. You see, there's no glass in front of the prop. You have to be inside Industrial Light and Magic to get that close to the prop.
I think most people would try to duplicate Harrison Ford's expression there. I don't know if you were trying or failed spectacularly.
It seemed like on some basis Han was just trying for a cheery wave. So I thought, yes, let's also do a cheery wave.
Ah, yes. Cheery wave. Shall we listen to your
Yes, absolutely.
entree? This is Andy Ihnatko. Only 211 votes. We've got to get more votes for Andy.
Shadow was not superstitious. He did not believe in anything he could not see. Still, he could feel disaster hovering above the prison in those final
I punched the word disaster.
just as he had felt it in the days
That's what the pro
robbery.
would do.
There was a hollowness in the pit of his stomach, which, he told himself, was simply a fear of going back to the world on the outside.
Now, I don't want to spoil this by playing the whole excerpt. So
Exactly. So, I mean, that's good. That gives a tease. People are now going to be interested in listening to the whole 53 seconds of it. So, like I said, and you can also go neilgaiman.bookperk.com if you want a slightly longer essay about my desire to sort of hork into this contest and sort of try to see if I can get this role. You can go to Ihnatko.com where I have a blog post about it. I've also made I know that you have to fill out a form in order to vote for this. I know that you're going to try to vote
right now.
every single day. So to reward people, if I do wind up in this top 20, I will record an hour-long audiobook of a public domain text, one of my favorite public domain books from Google Books. I will record a minimum of a 1-hour audiobook and release it for free under Creative Commons if I'm in the top 20. If I'm not in the top 20,
then screw you. I'm sorry.
I'll probably do it anyway. But still, see, listeners, I'm just sort of just asking politely because
That's
you're
very nice.
You're charitable people, and I bet that it's I'm not sure if it's a union gig, but if I get $30 for it, that I'm a freelance rap writer in a rapidly collapsing market. $30 goes a long way. That's a lot of top ramen, folks. And so
you have to create the account before you can search for Andy's fabulous submission. And Andy Ihnatko spelled Ihnatko. I have no idea.
And you misspelled it right there.
I did? Oh, IHN. See, even I
think Ihnatko, search for Ihnatko rather than Andy. I think my username technically is
just Ihnatko.
I can't find it either.
IHNATKO. Let's
You're
try.
already up to 244.
There you go.
Yeah, your number. And so, ladies and gentlemen, let's just vote for Andy Ihnatko. A vote for Andy is a vote for peace,
Freedom,
love,
democracy, peace. Yes.
and the American way.
In the end, I decided that if I don't get this role, I can deal with that. If I didn't do everything I could to cheat and stack the deck and be in that top 20, I would be disappointed myself. I want to not get this role because professional voice casters listened to my sample and said, no frickin' way. Not because I wasn't devious, schemingless, and amoral enough to press every advantage that I have. So
exactly.
come on board the boat to hell with me. It's only a small sin. if you've been leading a relatively clean life, I'm sure it won't tip you over the edge. If it does, you know what? You're probably going to go there anyway. So why not have some fun?
Awesome.
Throw me a bone.
Already 264 votes, Andy. Five more votes. Just from you mentioning that on the show, I think that's pretty exciting.
That's a testimony to you, Leo, and the power and the kindness of the MacBreak Weekly audience.
Can they list? Do they list who's winning?
Yeah, they do. Right.
274 now. Wow.
They're not updating it live, so you sort of have to keep peeking back every few days. But I mean,
we won't know.
The heck with Jerry Lewis. This is the Love Network.
Can you vote more than once?
You can vote every day.
So. Okay. So I'm going to vote again. Oh, I guess I've already voted today.
And what's the expiration date again?
May 2nd. The contest ends, or the sampling ends on May, and after that they will listen to the top 20 and make their pick. And producers, the fact that I am a well-placed media source with 50,000 Twitter followers and in a great position to promote this project, this wonderful, wonderful project, I want to make sure you cast me on my merits as a voice teller.
Absolutely. And that hissing sound you hear behind him, that won't be there. American Gods, what a great book that is.
He's now at 296.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
He's cooking.
Keep up the good work.
You.
Go, Andy.
And if you haven't read American Gods, do read it. And then Good Omens, which was the Terry Pratchett collaboration. Is that like a sequel to American Gods?
No, that came out. That was I think Neil's first full-length novel that came out in the mid-90s. But yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, Neil Gaiman is one of those few authors where if his name is on it, I'm buying it. It's not even. I don't even need to sample it. I don't care that it's designed. Coraline, the first thing. Well, that's a children's book.
No.
Yeah, but it's Neil Gaiman, so I think it's This is awesome.
It's
awesome.
Yeah,
it's a children's book you should not read to your children.
yeah, unless they're a little macabre.
Just to keep just hide the sewing equipment for the next 11 years of their life, so they don't.
No sewing. No sewing. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Zach, for... I'm Zach. I had to do it one more time. Thank you, Erfon, Elijah, for joining us from cultofmac.com.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Everybody should visit cultofmac.com. It's a great site, great source for wonderful Mac knowledge. Andy Ihnatko, good luck with your campaign, your drive.
Yes, again, I'm sure it's a big treat for Neil as well, because... No, it's not really a treat for him as well. I'm pretty much a nobody. But still, it'd be nice for me.
I think it's a treat for Neil. I do.
Well, life is a treat for him. He has an awesome life.
He does.
Reaping the fruits of his hard work and his creativity.
As he should. Alex Lindsay's at the Pixel Corps, pixelcorps.com, for that great guild of multimedia artists learning and working together. And bordersack.com is your blog, pixelcorps.tv for the podcasts.
And a reminder that I'll be speaking, and hopefully we're going to be streaming the 3D Advertising Summit in May 13th. From Kerner Optical. So if you're in the Bay Area and you're interested in 3D, this is the place to be.
And if you are in the Bay Area on the 13th, come a day early, because May 12th I'll be speaking. I'll be the host, actually, of a very exciting TEDx.
It's all happening in Marin.
Yeah, this is in Marin. It is going to be a lot of new media types. That's why they asked me to speak. The communication revolution will be the topic. Olivia Ma from YouTube, Robert Tursek from the Oprah Winfrey Network, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, who's a filmmaker, John Perry Barlow, who's just the greatest, co-founder of the EFF, and I'll be the host. That is May 12th in Marin County.
Where is that in Marin?
Good question. I should find out. The Canbar Center for the Performing Arts. But if you go to tedxmarin.com, you can get all the details there. I don't usually plug my speaking engagements, but this is a TEDx is really fun.
I'm going to go.
To buy. Yeah, please come.
Yeah.
Love to have you. And that's my good friend... what's his name is producing it, so that's going to be great. Hey, let me...
Sorry. That didn't come out nearly as well as you might have planned.
Kirk Olson is his name. I remembered it. Let me just real quickly show you that, in fact, this is the TuneIn Radio program I was talking, and if you go to Talk Radio, I want to show you this because you might be confused. If you go to Talk Radio and you go to Technology... you will see, look right there, MacBreak Weekly. So this is a way on your iPhone, even if you haven't downloaded them ahead of time and subscribed, you can listen to our Twit live stream, but also listen to previous episodes of MacBreak Weekly streamed right to your iPhone, even if you didn't have the foresight to download it ahead of time. So that is a very nice feature. It's the only there aren't many ways to I guess MediaFly has another way you can listen to our podcasts on the iPhone without having subscribed earlier earlier. This is a really nice little program for listening to radio. And there's our show on it. Just wanted to mention. MacBreak Weekly is live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time at live.twit.tv. And you could listen after the fact all sorts of places, including on your iPhone or on iTunes or the Zune store, should you still be using a Zune. But do not attempt to find us on the PlayStation Network. It's still down. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Another... What do I say? I say...
yeah, get back
Break
to work.
time's over.
Break time's over, kid.
You gold bricks.
what they said.
But I just wanted to say, Andy, I love those sideburns you have. Every time I see those things, I think, man, I wish I could grow a nice pair of chops just like that to complete the full package.
You see, I never know. I do get that sometimes. I never say, I feel like one of those like inspirational characters in the movie that the lead character meets like for just 5 minutes. Like, you had the power of growing sideburns within you all along. There was never any sort of magical eyeglasses.
I was telling Leander that from the right angle, you actually look like Wolverine's good-natured uncle.
That's very good.
That's good. I really like that.
Although at a Comic-Con, like a writer who I really, really like, unfortunately said, "Hey, wow, those are great Wolverine mutton chops," and I felt as though, given the context, I had to say, no, I did not grow these out so that 24 hours a day I could look like Wolverine. I did it so I could look like Isaac Asimov.
He did, however, get the adamantium fingers put in for that reason. That's a different story.
We do need a picture of. I need to get Andy. You need to send me a high resolution picture of you holding out your hands like claws.
Oh yeah, we can add them. We can
and give me a mean look. So what I need you to do is I need you to take a picture of yourself with like claws at the screen with a mean look on your face, and we'll make you into Uncle Wolverine.
They are accurate in one respect. It says these are the people that I influence: my daughter and my scale. Yes, my scale has a clout factor of 31.
Man, you're popular when your scale has a clout factor.
Of course I influence my scale every time I step on it. I don't understand how they can...
Well, you're definitely asserting dominance over it. It's a very in-your-face sort of...
I will step on you now.
When it comes to getting weighed, I'm a top. I just got to say that. I'm sorry, there's a guy in the chat room named Shorty who says he has the same amount of clout as my scale. I'm so sorry.
Maybe one morning you should step on him. And have feeling a little lighter today, Leo.
And then he can just tweet, "Ouch."
It's not the weight; it's the red stiletto heels.
Ouch.
That's what I should do. You know what? I'm taking over that stupid scale account, and every day instead of going to type my way, I'm just going to go, "Ooh, oof,
little to the right,
little to the right." Less bacon, Leo.
Oh, what? One at a time, please. That never gets old.
Right between the shoulders.
Okay. Clout clubs and social rewards coming to a hotel. One of the newest.
But you have to like Twitter like 25 times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you don't really understand.
So you get
Twitter,
a reward for each offer you tweet. You get 10 points. For each offer that your friends purchase, you get 250 points. Accumulate enough, they can be redeemed for free rooms, dinner for. Screw that! That's basically advertising.
That's not good.
They don't even give you cash.
No, there was somewhere else that it was. Well, we were talking about it on This Week in Media this morning. Now I have to find out more information. That doesn't. That one. That's why I wasn't mentioning it because I already saw that article.
Oh,
and I was like, maybe not this one. But if you're listening and you are from one of these hotels. We think that a high clout score would be really great.
Let's go. If you're listening and you're one of those hotels, give me a free room.
Hey, I know some CEOs at.
No, I'm just saying. There. Forget the clout. Give me a free room.
I don't need a number.
Why add the middleman? Give me a free room.
So
I don't need no stinky number.
Listeners in the Las Vegas area, if you have a sewing room, one of those Aero mattresses, by all means, email us. Leo would like to stay in your room for 1 to 7 nights. He will pay 1/10 rack rate.
Do you know how much?
He will also leave behind one phone charger of your choice.
One of the reasons that I don't gamble is because when I go to Vegas, I drop a lot of money without gambling.
He just drops it on the ground. I mean,
it's to go to do like NAB or CES. It's at least $50,000 in hotel rooms.
Yep.
So that's why. Give me a free room. Okay, now let's begin the show.
That's a show title.
Yeah, it would be if it were in the show.
We should always do show titles that are based on the pre-show instead of the actual show.
And people listen to the whole show and go, hey, they never said that. They never said that.